Good afternoon or morning, everybody, depending on what part of the country you are in. I am here. I was watching the press conference, so I don't know. I'm going to have to find it again because it was on somebody else's channel. I was watching it. So I can turn it on for everybody if you're here. Then I can do it that way, I guess. So let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. So let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. Well, I was able to find it at least. So let's see if I can get it to pull up. And it doesn't look like it's pulling up. So let me try it again here. And it looks like it may be over. All right, let's go over everybody that's in here. So we've got Joe Carroll Dodds, Connie Carlo, Annie Well, and Mr. Sciatica. How's it going, folks? So I know it's been a hot minute. I've been busy trying to close on a house, trying to get my house sold. We had a litter of puppies on top of everything, and we've been packing. So it's been quite the ordeal over here where I'm at least. Busy. So go ahead and end this real quick here. So there's a few things I wanted to go over. One of them is some things that I've been noticing with other podcasters. And it's really starting to get on my nerves. It really is. And that's another reason why I haven't been on. Uh, and that is the smaller channels like mine and Hawks and all that. We could say something, be told we're full of crap from another podcaster, and they turn around and start talking about the same crap that we were just talking about 12 to 15 months beforehand. It irritates me. It really does. That gets under my skin more than anything. So, yeah, I read it. And no, that's okay. So, it's one of those things that I really don't like that kind of bullshit. I don't. I think it's wrong. And if people aren't going to listen to the facts in the first place, then why are they even trying to search for the truth? It's just my thing. If they're not going to be open-minded to listen in the first place, what makes them open-minded with a bigger podcaster than with a smaller podcaster? It's irritating. And we got some more folks in here: Cupcake Girl, Dory Fickle, Sherry, and Angel Rose. So let's go into my bookmarks here. And we will start down here at the bottom as soon as I get everything pulled up here. All right, here we go. So, from Matt Wallace, urgent alert: trucks labeled hazmat operations spotted lining up in New York City. Probably nothing, right? Well, then again, nothing is nothing until it becomes something. So it's just kind of a thing we need to keep an eye on. But we also know that the Trump press conference was there in New York at Trump Tower, so they could have been preparing for something like that under the guise of hazmat, but who knows? But then again, we also know that there's been a mosquito outbreak and all that bullshit, so all of that could have something to do with it also. Who knows? At this point, nothing really surprises me. So this coming in from Ian Carroll: I'm finally getting canceled. This chick has a huge following on TikTok, and she fully caught me and exposed my whole grift. I'm really sorry to everyone I've hurt. It was fun while it lasted. I guess I'll go back to driving for Uber Eats. So let's play this. Let me know if you have the sound. All right, let's try this again. Let's see here. Share screen. Oh, I forgot to turn the sound on. There we go. All right, let's try it again.
That guy's a Nazi? I think that guy's a Nazi. I only seen a couple of his videos.
Hi, Madeline. It's your favorite Nazi here. Saw your video about me. Great video. Videos like Madeline's pop up all the time on TikTok about me. And at this point, they're kind of just funny. But this one's fun because it lets us highlight some pretty important points. First off, no, I'm not a Nazi. I'm a leftist Democrat that grew up in Bellingham, Washington, one of the most liberal cities in America. And I voted left my entire life. Until now. And I won't be doing that anymore because I have done a lot of reading and a lot of research for myself, and looking around, all the wars currently being fought were Democrats. All the censorship of free speech done by Democrats. Everyone shilling for the giant pharmaceutical complex. Democrats. And let's be clear, a lot of Republicans are doing those things too. They suck ass too. But now let's get to the more fun part of this, where Madeline exposed just how much she knows about the world and why it's such a problem that I have views based upon research. So if you haven't seen the file where I take all of my notes on all the different things I research, let me run you through a little bit of it. This one's about globalist organizations, think tanks, the World Economic Forum, corporations, etc. These are articles. You do independent research, you take notes, you draw connections, you look up other things, you do more research. Here's the file about Diddy, breaking down all the Diddy documents. We got a whole bunch of them. Oh no, he's researching Fauci and CAI bioweapons. He can't spell and he's an alt-right grifter. I have pages and pages and pages of this shit. Big bank boards, big pharma, the music industry, BlackRock, etc. One of my favorite files about Zionism is so big it takes like 30 seconds to load. And this other dude on TikTok whose name I can't remember, he made this video a while back trying to do a hit piece on me as though he saw one slide in one of my notes and thought that like I was like parroting that whole book. And I'm trying to find that slide now and I can't find it. Was it in the Jeffrey Epstein one? No, not there. Was it in the banking? No, it's not in the banking bloodlines, although this one's pretty interesting. This is where I went through old newspaper archives to find clippings about various genealogies in the banking industry, and read through old newspapers from the 1800s, etc. Oh, I found it. So here's this one slide that this dude on TikTok made a whole hit piece about as though he understood my research process, where I was taking notes on an article about the founding of the Federal Reserve and the various bankers that were involved in early American banking, in European and English banking. And I got to this guy and I was doing more searching on this guy. And I found a documentary. Let me scroll over here. And this documentary had all these slides that were as though they were quoted from a book, and they were pretty salacious and spicy. And so I took note of those slides and was going to go and look up that book and do some research about that guy. These are the extent of those slides. And I actually never even went back to that book because it didn't turn out to be relevant to the project that I was working on at all. It was just like a little slide in the notes that means nothing. I don't even remember the name of any of what it was. But yeah, I was analyzing that book because I believe every word of it. See, here's the part where if you haven't caught on already, if you're dumb enough to take someone's opinion of someone else on the internet at face value and go based upon their misrepresentations of someone else's ideas and not realize that you're a smart enough person to go and just read that person's ideas for yourself and make your own opinion, then you're dumber than the person who's telling you what to think. And that person might be smart. And maybe you've chosen smart people to align yourself with and to listen to and to absorb their ideas without doing any due diligence for yourself. But are you sure they're smart people? Because Madeline, I think that's her name, this girl who just made this video, she's like, this guy is a Nazi. And then she's like, okay, she's an anti-Zionist. Great. Good on you, Madeline. But like, I believe things that are super dangerous, like literally the Jewish mob invented sexual blackmail. I'm pretty sure from the way that Madeline says the Jewish mob that she doesn't realize that the Jewish mob was like half of organized crime in America, that the Jewish mob has a long storied history in America, that Meyer Lansky, one of the main leaders of the Jewish mob, formed the National Crime Syndicate where he married the mafia and the mob together and made an international crime syndicate of all organized crime working together, that they blackmailed J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI. Not ringing any bells? Because I got sources and I go over them all the time and I didn't see a single source in her video. And I mean, you can just find that on Wikipedia. You can Google it. It's easy to find. But let me show you some books. Here's a little collection of books from the last year in my bookshelf. That one, that one, that one. This one's really fun to read. That one's pretty wild, kind of esoteric. This one's a trip. This one was really cool until she got to the 2016 election. Oh yeah, this one will piss you guys off. Oh yeah, and speaking of the Federal Reserve, there's that one, and there's that one. Although I'll be honest, I didn't finish this one at all. I'm gonna try, but it was pretty dry. But if we're talking about the Jewish mob and the invention, quote unquote, of sexual blackmail, but what I said specifically was video sexual blackmail, then these are the books for you. And I'm currently on my third read through. And this time I'm annotating and taking notes. And if you think it makes you a Nazi to claim that Meyer Lansky, Roy Cohn, Louis Rosenstiel were intimately involved in a sexual video blackmail operation at the Plaza Hotel in the Blue Suite, where they were blackmailing J. Edgar Hoover and many other powerful people, then that just means that you don't know history and you haven't done any research, bro. Like, it's cute that this girl is an anti-Zionist and she doesn't know any of the history of Zionism or of Israel or of how the fuck we got here in the first place. Like, do you think Jeffrey Epstein just appeared out of nowhere? Do you think that he's just an anomaly, a lone wolf with no one backing him? You haven't done any research about Leslie Wexner, about the mega group? So yeah, if you like to get your opinions from someone like this Madeline girl, you probably shouldn't follow me, because my channel is all about evidence, reading, talking about complex ideas, thinking things through, holding multiple different perspectives in mind, and not really making up our minds, but just learning. That's always been what my channel is about, is learning what's going on. And these days, to a lot of people on the left, where I come from, learning makes you an alt-right pipeline now. So bye, guys. I don't need you here. If you're the kind of person who is afraid of information because it might corrupt your brain, you're fucking dumb. Have a spine. Just because you listen to someone that says a bad word or has a bad idea doesn't mean that your brain absorbs it like a sponge and you have no defense against those bad ideas. Like, think for yourself, dude. Just be like, no, I don't think you're right. And this is why I don't think you're right, because I have these sources, because I've read all these fucking books, and you're wrong. But it was nice talking to you, because you're also a human being, and I have mutual respect for you, just like I should for every human being, because we're all just doing our best to get by and figure out what's going on and take care of our families. But if you're scared of talking to people with different opinions and doing research and discussing what's happening in an open, genuine debate, then my page is not for you. And you definitely should not go visit my Twitter. Because one thing that Madeline did say that was definitely correct is that I am not allowed to put all of my opinions and all of my evidence, it's mostly the evidence actually, here on TikTok. Most of what I do is only on Twitter, because TikTok censors real information, real sources. If I were to source this book and tell you what is actually deeply researched in this book with like tons and tons of references, here's just part of one chapter's references, the video would get taken down. And that should make you go, huh, why? Which political party would be behind such a thing? Which organizations and corporations would be behind such a censorship complex? And then you would go over to X and you would look at what's happening on X and the discussion happening there and the free flow of ideas. That is how we get our collective intelligence to grow. Like, what do you think the Academy of Ideas was built on? Censorship? You fucking idiot. So anyways, this was super entertaining. I appreciate the video, Madeline. Good to know who you are. Good to know where you stand on intelligence and stuff. Have a nice day.
So the basic idea is that the content he's making on TikTok is trying to lure people in so that hopefully they find his media other places, like on Twitter. Right?
Oh my God, yes. Thank you for the plug, Madeline. Please go find me on Twitter. Check out my content for yourself. Think for yourself. Form your own opinion. You don't like me? Don't follow me. I'm just trying to do research, talk shit, tell some jokes, have some fun while we figure out what the hell is going on out here. Then you just decide, are you on the team of people that just speak their minds and are honest and look things up? Or are you on the side of people that censor people over defamatory statements like being a Nazi?
Yeah, I think he said quite a bit in that short little 10-minute segment about different things. And basically kind of reiterated what I was saying, you know, in a way, because every live that I have ever done, I have said, don't take my word for it. Go and look for yourself. Because people will not learn if they're not doing their own research. So it's one of those things, you know, we can give you the tools, but we can't make you believe something that you don't want to believe without seeing it for yourself. So, and then here's this. This was put out by Breaking 911. Go back here. Come on, really? The only way put out by Schumer at a press conference. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is by granting citizenships to millions of illegal aliens. Yeah, my ass. So let's play this real quick, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
All right, let's listen to that part again.
For many undocumented there are here. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented.
I think what he's really trying to say is that they're worried about their chances in this election, so they want to have all of those undocumented people vote for the Democrats because they got it passed to where they could vote. So that's what I'm taking it as. From White House Grandpa, the FBI has seized the cell phones of NYPD Commissioner. It comes just hours after top aides of Democrat Mayor Eric Adams had their homes raided. The streets are absolutely filled with National Guard. Something massive is happening in New York City. Follow White House Grandpa. So I'm going to drop this in the chat for everybody here. So wait, if you're not following White House Grandpa on X, you can. And then there was, let's see, we already went into that, but I'm going to go into it again. From Bill Melusion, ICE confirms to Fox News that the suspect charged in Fairfax County, Virginia, in a horrific child abuse case where two boys aged 7 and 9 were found chained at the ankles is a Salvadorian illegal alien who has previously been deported in 2019 but re-entered as a getaway at an unknown. Oh, crap. It wouldn't let me. There we go. Time and location. The two children are brothers. They were found in their mother's home as she has been arrested, and as her boyfriend Franklin Archimedes Vieira Guevara. The ICE statement: Franklin Guevara is an unlawfully present 29-year-old Salvadoran national. U.S. Border Patrol arrested Vieira November 1st, 2018, after he unlawfully entered the United States near McAllen, Texas. Vieira was processed, expedited removal, and removed from the United States to El Salvador in February 2019. Vieira unlawfully re-entered the United States on an unknown date at an unknown location and without being inspected, admitted, or paroled by a U.S. immigration official. Fairfax County Police arrested Vieira August 16th, 2 counts of child abuse and neglect, reckless disregard for life, 2 counts of child endangerment while in one's custody, and 2 counts of child abduction by force. Later that day, the ERO, Washington, D.C., lodged an immigration detainer against Vieira with the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. So, very interesting, to say the least. So, and then we have this right here. And this is basically a rehash of what we're saying. All you're seeing is military around too. So National Guard, I guess, has been deployed there in New York City. So who knows what's going on. But then Merrick Garland, anybody see that Merrick Garland statement? Where he was talking about going after basically anybody that disagreed and questioned the election through protest and stuff like that, basically wanting another January 6th. So, go down here. After he did that, and he was telling all these people, you know, at the press conference that they were going after the news reporters and stuff like that they said were Russian propaganda and blah 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 blah. You get the point. I went to check Blacklisted News, and they took the site down. I don't know if it, according to this, it was from the guy, but I'm sure he probably had some pressure from the government to shut it down. So, and I posted it on X. Well, that's a shame. Blacklisted News is no more. That's disappointing. I love going there to find things the MSM wouldn't talk about. And here's a statement from Blacklisted News to all the readers of Blacklisted News. This message is to thank you all and to let you know that after 18 years online, I will no longer be publishing Blacklisted News. It was a very hard decision, but I'm confident that it is the right one. I believe everything that could be accomplished with the website has. It is time for me to focus on the next thing. I owe many of you a special thanks for your help and support. Donations were able to sustain the platform for 2 years without advertising revenue. If you're interested in Texas history or an outdoorsman, and it gives a link there. But what I find funny with this whole thing is on that website. Now, this is if the government was leaning on him to shut the site down. There was articles from all over the place, from Cryptogon, Reclaim the Net, CBS, MSN, MSNBC, CNN, a lot of them. So if that's the case and the government did put pressure on him, does that mean that all of those things were Russian propaganda too? I'm just asking. And Anti-Well, I have heard that, but I cannot confirm any of that. So, and then there is also this. I think for everybody here, they need to hear about this because it's pretty important for everybody to learn about and to know about what's going on, so that way nobody falls victim to this scheme. So let me go back and I'll start playing this.
Listen up. This is a very safety related public service announcement for kids, parents, adults. I need you to listen to the whole video. We're not ranting about comments. We're not ranting about people. This is something that happened to one of our family members, and we want to share this. I need you to share everything, this whole video, so you understand. Here's the story.
Okay. Our daughter, who is a registered nurse, got a phone call from her office saying there is a man trying to reach you urgently. He had called 5 times to her office asking for her by name.
Not her cell phone, where she worked.
Where she worked at. So the person that she works with, the one over the clinic, got her on a 3-way phone call, and this man said, "You have missed jury duty in Mobile County." Now, we live nowhere near Mobile County.
So understand where the relation that is. Here's where we live, and she lives roughly in Jefferson County in the north center of Alabama. Mobile County is down here by the beach. We're talking a 4.5-hour drive.
Right. He said, "You've missed jury, a federal jury, and we're going to have a warrant for your arrest if you don't show up within an hour to Mobile County, and to bring your children, that they will be detained, and I will stay on the phone with you until you get here." He also said, and we know better, with our age group, he said, "You also have 2 misdemeanor warrants, misdemeanor warrants in Mobile County that will need to be cleared up while you're here. And being the age that she's at, she panicked.
Like panic like you've never in your life heard before. Here is a mom with 2 children who heard warrant, misdemeanor warrant, detain your children. And this was a live phone call. This wasn't something that was pre-recorded.
So fortunately enough, the man that was her boss spoke to the guy, and they realized that this is a scam. But it wasn't before he said, "Are you not such and such at such and such address?" And she said, "No, that's my name, but my address is." And so he automatically obtained that information. But the thing is, he didn't ask for any money.
Mhm.
So we don't know if it was a trafficking, if it was a child endangerment, or if it was going to be a money thing. The national scam is that these people are doing this, and I need you to know it can happen to you. If it happened to us,
In Podunk ass Alabama.
it can happen to anybody.
So her name, her address, her cell phone number, where she worked, all of that, in case you don't know, is public record. It's not hidden. You think it is, but it's not hidden.
Right.
So this guy knew everything, her children, her husband's name, where she worked. Her had the wrong address, but she was so startled that she said, "No, I'm at this address." And I think it's when you hung up, right?
He said,
Yeah.
"Oh, I've got the wrong person,"
Right.
and hung up. But that's because he was called out. And so, of course, the proper authorities were notified and all that, because I'm going to get that in the comments. But I need you to know, if it can happen to her, a registered nurse who's an adult with children, who lives a very wonderful life and normal people,
Mhm.
it can happen to you. It can happen to your mom and dad, the elderly. It can happen to your children. And that way, sorry, our dog's rocking the camera. Whether they're trying to get money out of you or they're trying to traffic, you or your children, everybody needs to be aware. Do not give out personal information. Do not.
Listen, just take this video is probably five and a half minutes long. This 5.5 minutes could save somebody thousands of dollars. It could save somebody
Life.
from being stuck in a van that you'll never see again. All we're asking is that you share this across your platforms. Download the video, save it, send it as a text message and say, "Listen to these people. All they're trying to do is help." That's all we're asking you to do, because you may prevent some money laundering or something even worse. And we've invited everybody into our home, and we share real life experiences. And this happened 3 days ago.
And this is a child that doesn't want to be a part of social media,
Mhm.
but she wanted you to know, because she's afraid that a young mother out there who may be in a little trouble somewhere would automatically get in her car and go.
Instantly. And let's say, she's gone, the kid's gone.
And a family's destroyed.
Yeah, it's destroyed. So please share it. I don't care if you like it. Our whole goal is to share it. That's all we want to do. We want to see as many shares on here. Hit that bottom arrow, download it, save it. Please send it to somebody, or just go to somebody's house and say, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, watch this video for a few minutes." And we just need your help. Just get that word out
Share the
there.
story.
Yeah, just get it out there, please. We know you'll do it. I need you to do it. I expect you to do it. That's how I talk.
All right. See you. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat for everybody, so that way they can share it with as many as they can, or as many as you can, so they can know, so that way they can be warned about some stuff. So now, that was my public service announcement for the day, I guess. So here we got our pukey governor, Eric Holcomb, meeting with Prime Minister Dennis Shmihal, for during a visit, discussed Indiana's support for Ukraine, which, by the way, most of Indiana does not support Ukraine. I just want to put that out there. So, and all right, here we go. There you go, Mr. Sciatica. Shared to you. So I just want to put that out there. Most of Indiana, everybody I've run into, they don't support money going to Ukraine. They don't support Ukraine. They may support the people of Ukraine as far as the people, but the government and us sending them money, no, they don't. No. But when most of your representatives work for APAC and this dickhead right here, Eric Holcomb, he was confirmed to be a CCP friendly governor. What a shitbag. Sorry for the language. I'm kind of putting it all out there today. He's a real piece of shit. He really is a real piece of shit. So, and when I called his office a while back, his office actually hung up on me about why he was attending the World Economic Forum. His office hung up on me. So that tells me where his loyalties truly lie. And I said as much here. Now we know where you and almost every other Indiana politician's loyalties lie. Hint, not with the people of Indiana. So, yeah. And then, I was responding to this post from Just Gen Reacts after Putin endorsed Kamala Harris. Dang it. I have to get back down there. So, I said, I think we need to look at the facts as a whole. Look at the interview Tucker did with Putin. Also, look at the working relationship that Putin had with Trump, and look at what was discovered in Ukraine. Look at the way that Russia and Putin are vilified in the media and this administration. Is he really endorsing Harris or putting the final nail into her campaign? And I think that is a very good question everybody needs to be asking, because if he is openly supporting Harris, there's got to be something on the flip side. What is everybody not seeing? Because we know that him and Trump had a good working relationship. They respected each other. We know that Tucker Carlson did an interview with him, and Putin gave Tucker Carlson a folder, I'm guessing, full of information. And we also know that Putin, when they went into Ukraine, supposedly, was finding biolabs. And Victoria Nuland, a member of the Biden administration, had to testify to such in an open hearing in the Senate. So, is it that he really supports her, or is it that because they've been talking so bad and negatively about him, that this is kind of putting the final nail in the Harris campaign coffin? Just saying. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and play this. And we know put this out yesterday, I believe. Non-socialist fun fact. Look at how much money goes to Ukraine. 40 billion a year. Always still have 200 million adults, 200K a year put into the economy. Yes, you are 100% correct. So let me go ahead and play this Cash Patel thing.
They broke the law. They broke the chain of command. They broke every regulation there is in the FBI. They weaponized the system of justice against a political target they hated. We found those text messages, and we got them declassified finally in full when I became Deputy Director of National Intelligence. And the world has now seen them, and they can read them. And that's the best form of transparency. That's why I want this 24/7 declassification office. Don't have me regurgitate it to you. Read it. Get the documents, get the files, get the memos. But the deep state came full circle and gave these guys a payday for rigging a presidential election and breaking the law. So now you know what happens. That's step one. Step two, get America the truth. And that's what that office would be for.
The truth. We've been trying to get that out for a long time. He actually suggests that we may very well see a blackout power grid attack before the election. He brought that out in another part of this interview. I'm going to show you here in a second. But it's amazing because we look at number 64 on the Intel board, the Q board for November 2nd, 2017. Should the lights go out, please know we are in control. Do not panic. Interesting, because if that plays out, 7 years later in 2024 on November 2nd, could we see a blackout power grid attack before the election? Makes you think of drop 64. Check this out.
How vulnerable is it to outside attacks? Big. It's big because once they hit it, we can't fix it fast. Look, we just saw Paris during the Olympics just got blacked out. Ain't a coincidence after the opening ceremonies. And again, I think President Trump has talked about this. You need to overhaul the infrastructure around these systems to safeguard us from what I view as one of the easier threats our adversaries can deploy against America. And it's also, those are harder to trace too. So that's the other thing. The sourcing would be much harder on that than, say, a kinetic operation like a 9/11 style attack.
I mean, is there any contingency plans up at the top on if that were to happen?
So there's this thing called COOP-COG capabilities, like continuity of government, and everybody's heard about locations around America. I can't really talk about, but there's a continuity plan for government to keep going and for enough personnel to be around to make sure we can do all those things and supposedly defend the nation and have the commander-in-chief and his cabinet secure and do all that. But there's no contingency plan to say, if you wipe out the electricity west of the Mississippi, how are we going to turn it on?
Amazing to hear this information come from somebody that's been with higher ups, plays golf with President Trump and all that. It's almost like they're preparing us for something that might happen in the future. We have to be ready at all times. Be ready with our physical side, with our spiritual side, and more.
It's kind of reiterating what everybody's been saying for the last couple of years, but it's good to hear, especially...
They broke the law. They broke the chain of command. They broke...
That have actually, that are new to everything. They have no idea of what's been going on for the last however long. It's a pretty important thing to put out. And there was something else I wanted to share with everybody on that note, and I just got to find it. Let's see here. Okay, maybe it wasn't on that note. Okay, so we'll go back here, but I will go ahead and open this up here. So, and then we have Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider's been coming out, putting out a lot of information, and it's kind of getting to the normies, if you will. Literally every agency in the United States government has been captured by the industries they're meant to regulate. And this was replying to RFK Jr. Wheat was one of the U.S. crops that were always non-GMO. because the U.S. exports around 6 billion a year in wheat, and our largest buyers refuse the GMO version. So last week, the FDA and USDA approved an Argentine developed GMO wheat. So I think that's a pretty big thing. They want to force these GMO products down our throats, and essentially it's poison. It's not natural. They've modified it in some way, shape, or form. You can't even buy taco shells right now. The hard taco shells that aren't GMO, which I think is ridiculous, but that's just me. So, and I thought this is pretty entertaining. This video, I thought it was great, and it pretty much sums up Kamala Harris. So let's listen to this impersonator doing a Hooker Harris impression. It's great. Oh, wrong button.
And let me be clear. Let me be clear. As a woman, there is a balance that needs to be struck between being tough and, just being a raging bitch. Being aggressive in policy and being a foreign cunt. Being a national treasure, but also being a demon. And we gotta get that balance right. Okay? Yeah, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it right. All right. Moving forward. It's not just about this administration. You gotta be woke. The woker, the weaker, the better. You have to think about what it means to be woke, awake, right? That's what we want. Right there. All up in there. Just awake. Yeah. Okay, well, you can vote for Donald Trump if you want, but I'm speaking. You better get scared.
Yeah, it's a great impression. I thought it was great. I just wanted to share it with everybody. I mean,
Yeah, let me be clear.
it's pretty good. So I just dropped that in the chat for if anybody wants to share it with, any of their friends, so that way they can see how stupid Kamala Harris really is. I mean, that's just an accurate representation. So now, this is the one that I wanted to talk to you about. This is the one that goes into. Oh, there it is. The whole the way communism is, kind of thing. We will never let this happen again. This is put out by the Hodge twins. I lost my business because I fed an unvaccinated man pizza. That's it. That's literally it. What pisses me off more is that none of my friends in the restaurant business said or did anything to help me. You watched a brother burn in the street because I fed a man pizza. And that goes back to the whole communist logic, because the government, communist governments, tend to crush those who oppose them, who oppose their order, who oppose their, anything. And that kind of takes me back to the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre there in China. There was a a protest going on because the people were tired of being crushed by the iron fist of the communist rule there in China. So they started protesting. China eventually sent in the Chinese military, and a lot of people died that day. The actual death toll, the number of deaths to the extent of bloodshed in the square itself, had been in dispute since the events. The government actively suppressed the discussion immediately. But let's see here. The government showed about 300 civilians and soldiers died, including 23 students from universities in Beijing, along with some people he described as ruffians. UN also said that 5,000 soldiers and police were wounded, along with 2,000 civilians. On 19 June, Beijing Party Secretary Li Jiming told the Politburo that the government's confirmed death toll is 241, including 218 civilians, to which 36 were students, 10 PLA soldiers, and 13 armed people's police, with 7,000 wounded. So this is what happens under communist rule. The government will kill you if you disagree with them under communist rule. They will either physically kill you by shooting you or putting you to death, or they will starve you out. That's the way it works. Under communism. So for all you people that support communism, and that's what you want for this country, that's exactly what will happen. We will either get starved out because you differ with their opinion, or you'll get carried off to a death camp somewhere and shot, or executed in some way, shape, or form, or you can keep your head down and be a sheep for the rest of your life. The choice is yours. Myself, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. So, and that kind of goes into this right here. There's one final election fraud case, and I'm just going to say it. And screw YouTube. YouTube can get bent. I really don't care. So, from Leah Hoops, update on our appeal in the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court, last remaining election fraud case from 2020, Delaware County, PA. Shocker, the Pennsylvania Attorney General wants extraordinary relief to extend the hearing out until 2025. How about no? You had 755 days of relief to be prepared. So let's listen to what this lady has to say here. She's pretty.
Well, hey there, ladies and gents. It's Leah Hoops coming to you from Pennsylvania to give you an update on our last remaining election fraud lawsuit from the 2020 election, which pertains to election fraud in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. That case actually has evidence, including video and audio from the whistleblower and other evidence from other witnesses and whistleblowers, including our declarations about what we saw and the facts of the case. And it's been about 755 days since we filed that appeal with the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. And the co-defendants are Delaware County Board of Elections, Kathy Bookvar, who is the former Secretary of the Commonwealth. So what's interesting is that in this past year, in May, the Commonwealth Court decided that They were going to write an order per curiam, which just means they don't want to put their names on it, the judges. So they wrote that order, and what they said was that they were going to decide the case, one of the last remaining election fraud cases in the country, that they were going to decide that case based on the briefs. So no oral arguments. So that didn't go very well. And we fought our motion for reconsideration, and we won oral arguments. So they wrote that brand new order in June. And what ended up happening was the defendants, the co-defendants and their attorneys didn't respond at all to that order. And the Commonwealth Court had said that at the next session, which would have been in September this week, that we would be scheduled. And of course, that never happened. So still nothing, no response, no nothing, no objections by the co-defendants about having oral arguments. But finally, when the next piece of information came from the Commonwealth Court stating that we were scheduled for a hearing for November 4th, the day before the general election, the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, who was representing Kathy Bookvar, no conflict of interest there, they decided that they were going to write us an email, which is proper procedure, and they wanted relief. They wanted to basically extend this out to 2025, and this was just going to be so hard for them because it was going to be the week of elections and their pee-pee hurt. So we respond in kind, of course, and say absolutely no. So, of course, they file their motion for extraordinary relief, and they want this pushed out till 2025 or just decide on the case based on the briefs. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. I just can't understand. Someone explain it to me like I'm 5, because, you know, I'm not an attorney. So explain this to me, Mr. Pennsylvania Attorney General, okay, and your nonsensical BS inside of this email asking for extraordinary relief. You had 755 days. You already got your extraordinary relief to file something, but you didn't. And on top of it, now you want more relief. Well, you should have came prepared and help me understand, okay? Help me understand. I'm just so darn stupid, okay? If you have all the facts already, right? And this is just frivolous stuff, then you should be able to prove, and the onus is on you, that you ran a free and fair election. I don't understand. Why don't you want to go to court with us? Well, I can tell you why. It's because you're caught. We got you red-handed. You're a bunch of criminals, and you're going to jail. So that's why you want to push it out to 2025. It's not happening. Bring your case and bring whatever it is. Bring any attorney that you need to. Whatever it is, you want to fill up the whole place, please bring it, because I guarantee you Hoops and Stenstrom are going to be there pro se, and we are going to kick ass in that court, and we're going to win with the truth. So hope you guys enjoyed this little update, because I'm ready to roll, baby. I'm ready to go right into that courtroom, and I'm ready to show up these elite, pompous assholes that represent Kathy Bookvar. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you guys. November 4th, you should try to come to the hearing. It will be held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the Commonwealth Court. We'll give you more information as soon as I find out what time. So looking forward to it. Stay the course, everybody, and fight for your republic.
Yeah, how about that? They want to push out a hearing that's already been pushed out 755 days because they're not prepared. So, yeah, let's just kick this can a little further down the road, shall we? Once again, Rob Schneider, Democratic Party doesn't want you to have all the information so you can think for yourself. They want to tell you what to think. and put out by Mike Benz. What's happening with the censorship in Brazil goes all the way to the top. Just 1 month into Lula's term, President Biden and Lula met in Washington, specifically pledged to, or the U.S. government would work together with Brazil's government to stamp out disinformation. And that's what they're trying to do to X. They're trying to get it shut down. They're using the same excuses as they did to shut down Parler, to be able to put pressure on Amazon to cancel the thing for Parler a while back, saying, "Oh, well, you don't have moderators in there to do this and do that." Well, I got news for you. Even though I hate community notes because I think 90% of the time they get it wrong, there is some sort of moderation there. But like Elon Musk has said in the past, Twitter or X is a public square. I mean, just like True Social, it's a public square. You should be able to say whatever you want, short of threats of violence, without any kind of backlash. So, and let's see here. Look at these numbers: 10,402 illegal, or 10,402,000 illegals have been registered to vote in the November election. What the hell? This is put out by Mike Engelman. This would be more than enough to steal it again, and the source came from the Social Security Administration. So we've got Alabama, Alaska. Alabama has 57,272. Alaska, 3,765. Arizona, 1,313,742. Well, this one doesn't really surprise me because, I mean, look who the governor is, for God's sake. Wasn't she just caught laundering money for the cartels not long ago through bogus land deals and shit? Arkansas, 6,141. California, 188,019. Colorado, and it's weird to me that California has less than Arizona. It strikes me a little odd. Colorado, 45,105. Connecticut, 4,912. Delaware, 0. I find that one kind of hard to believe. Also, District of Columbia, 0. I find that one hard to believe. Florida, 46,191. Georgia, 246,698. Hawaii, 0. That it doesn't really surprise me because they're kind of an island off in the middle of nowhere. Idaho, 5,093. Illinois, 373,398. That doesn't surprise me because Chicago is a sanctuary city. Indiana, 174,499. This one doesn't really surprise me either because where I live, there are a lot. As a matter of fact, we have a town to the south of us we call Little Mexico, and then we have a town to the east of us that could also be deemed as Little Mexico because 90% of the population there are Hispanic. So Iowa, 10,043. Kansas, 25,593. Kentucky is 0. We know this is a horse shit thing too. Louisiana is 6,192. Maine, 5,328. Maryland, 70,041. Massachusetts, 4,830. Michigan, 20,196. I'm calling bullshit there too. Minnesota, 27,768. Mississippi, 1,587. Missouri, 1,709,753. That one is kind of startling to me because, we see a lot of things coming out of Missouri. But then again, you have an attorney general there that is a George Soros hack. So maybe that number is accurate. Montana, 23,983. Nebraska, 7,440. Nevada 66,105, New Hampshire is 0, which I don't know about that one. Any of the zeros I'm kind of throwing up, except for Hawaii. With any of the zeros, I am throwing up a big red flag because that's no, no, I somehow doubt it. New Jersey, 166,558. New Mexico, 0. Yep, we know that's bullshit too. New York, 116,616. That number should be bigger because we know, and we also know that New York City is a sanctuary city. So that number is bogus also. North Carolina, 374,665. North Dakota, 0. Ohio, 35,954. Oklahoma is 0. Oregon's 22,490. Yep, I'm calling bullshit there too. Pennsylvania's 1,583,781. Rhode Island's 59,286. South Carolina is 0. I'm calling bullshit. South Dakota's 15,878. Tennessee 0. I'm calling bullshit there too. Texas 3,129,627. Yeah, that seems pretty accurate. Utah 14,539. Vermont 29,82. Virginia 0, and I'm calling bullshit there. Washington 19,000 0 4. West Virginia 0. Wisconsin 75,73, and Wyoming 77,55. And turning guns, I seen your question, but the thing is, it doesn't matter whether the illegal voters are conservative or Democratic. There shouldn't be any, period. I don't care which party they're voting for. They shouldn't be voting, period. If they're not eligible to vote in this country, they should not be voting, period. Whether they're illegals or, they've got felonies that prevent them from voting. If they're not supposed to be allowed to vote by law, they shouldn't be allowed whatsoever. I don't care. Okay, it was a rhetorical question. I get that, but I'm just saying that no matter which side of the fence they're on politically, they shouldn't be able to vote. Period. And last but not least, a Provo woman has been booked into the Utah County Jail for investigation of 76 felony crimes, including sexual abuse of a 10-year-old daughter. Police say a man paid the mother multiple times to sexually abuse the girl. This is sick. This is absolutely sick. The 38-year-old woman was arrested Wednesday for investigation of 42 counts of human trafficking of a child, 30 counts of aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor, 2 counts of aggravated sexual abuse of a child, and 2 counts of sodomy on a child. KSL News is currently not naming the woman to protect the identity of the child. The investigation began Wednesday when Provo police received a tip that a woman was uploading videos to Kik of herself sexually abusing her young daughter. According to the police booking affidavit, detectives were able to identify the woman and served a search warrant at her residence. This is sick. It really is. And you're right, millstones matter. But it's sick, how people could do that. Just that gets under my skin. So, and then the elephant in the room that I have been kind of avoiding since the beginning of the show, but I spoke a little bit to it at the beginning. I have a lot going on. A lot. We are trying to close on a house. We're trying to get our house sold. Trying to get everything packed and cleaned up here. You know, because over the years we've kind of accumulated a lot. And and after the other night, watching a podcast and seeing some things that I had been talking about for a long time, and basically being told I was full of shit without him saying that I was full of shit. And then he starts talking about the same thing as if it were set in stone, you know, and how it's that annoyed me. That annoyed me a lot. And the other thing is that us smaller podcasters are getting stepped on by the larger podcasters. That we could say one thing from, you know, research that we did. They'll pick up on a story of some kind. I'm not saying they're stealing it from us, but they'll pick up from it somewhere, and they will start reporting on it, and then people will start believing it in droves that never believed it before, just because it's a famous person. So I'm calling it quits for a while, because I am not that guy. I refuse to hide behind a paywall. I think information should be free, and you got all these other jackasses doing it, and I'm just not going to be one of those people. So I'm going to call it quits for a while, guys. And I'll be in chats every now and then, but that's it for me, at least until I get moved. So that's it for me for a while, at a minimum. So that's just where I'm at. And I hope you all can understand that, because it's aggravating. It really is. And it's one of those things that people, not you guys are fantastic, but other podcasters, they have done this, and they're forcing the little guy out. And it's bullshit. It is really bullshit. And the way that things just kind of go, I'm a zero nonsense kind of guy. I mean, so when they pull this bullshit, and especially somebody that I've, you know, talked to off and on for the last year or so, I'm not going to deal with it. Period. And nobody else should have to deal with it. And I'm not going to. So I know that these things happen, and it's not because I'm burnt out, because I'm not burnt out in any means. But I refuse to put that information out there for somebody else to make, you know, I'm not saying make bank, but, you know, to enrich themselves monetarily. I just won't do it. And I'll still post to X and stuff like that, but as far as doing lives, no, it ain't happening for a while. I need to calm down a little bit. And this happened last week, and I'm still really irritated about it. So, I mean, I just want you guys to know you guys have been fantastic. And I'll probably be back. You know, I'm not writing it off for good. I'm just saying I'll probably be back, be back later. But, and that's why deuces are wild, because I'm saying deuces for now. And the jokers are just that. So, without further ado, I'm going to get out of here. Have a safe time. Watch your six. And always keep your head on a swivel, because you never know what's around the corner. All right. Later, folks.